All right, it is prediction time. Happy college football Saturday. Thank you if you're taking a little bit of time away from, what is it, Alabama, Wisconsin right now. I'm going to head to the airport after this to fly out to Minneapolis, but we're going to talk about the 49ers and the Vikings and my predicted final score. Christian McCaffrey news might be coming a little bit later today if he does go on injured reserve. So I, of course, will have an update on that if he does land on the list. Kyle Shanahan said that it was possible yesterday 49ers would be mulling their options over the course of the next 24 hours. We'll talk a little bit more about Christian McCaffrey's strategy in a little bit. For now, I will say that the 49ers have the luxury of taking their time. Even if they shut him down until the bye week, you have a fresh Christian McCaffrey down the stretch of the season into the playoffs. And you're not risking nearly as much as another roster because your roster is so much better than the rest of the league. So you saw Jordan Mason last week. Jordan Mason's going to be a featured player in this game against Minnesota. Again, the Vikings did a good job against the 49ers run game last year. It was actually the worst rushing output of the season for the 49ers, only 3 yards per carry. They didn't rush the ball as much as they wanted to. A couple things led to that. First, Christian McCaffrey himself actually fumbled on the first drive against the Vikings last year. Then the 49ers defense played so poorly, they gave up a 78% completion percentage to Kirk Cousins, and there was that cover zero call from Steve Wilkes that led to the Jordan Addison touchdown at the end of the half. So 49ers played that game from behind. Because of that, they couldn't run the ball as much as they wanted to. And you have to give credit to Minnesota for slowing down the 49ers rushing attack when we got the Christian McCaffrey news right when I go online. Mike just texted me right now. Hold on. 49ers are officially placing all-pro running back Christian McCaffrey on injured reserve due to his calf tightness and Achilles tendonitis. McCaffrey will now miss the next 4 games at least before the team reassesses whether he can return in mid-October. So what I'll do probably is a separate video after we finish this prediction on Christian McCaffrey being placed on injured reserve, but we can talk about CMC strategy right now since Adam Schefter just reported this on ESPN. So it is officially IR for Christian McCaffrey, Achilles tendonitis. This is something that I think we could have sensed coming based on what both John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan said yesterday. McCaffrey now will miss at least 4 games. So the 49ers have the Vikings tomorrow. Then they have the Rams on the road. Then they return home for a game against the Patriots. And then they play at home again against the Cardinals. So that is 4 games for the 49ers that Christian McCaffrey will definitely miss. He could potentially return on Thursday, October 10th against the Seattle Seahawks. The 49ers can shut him down past that as well. I'm going to take a look at the 49ers schedule here to make sure I only have the next 4 games memorized for this Christian McCaffrey possibility, which is now going to become reality. But if we're looking at the full schedule, you have the Chiefs coming up after the Seahawks, then the Cowboys on October 27th in week 8, and then it's the bye week in week 9. Tampa Bay is coming out of the bye week in week 10 on November 10th. If you need to shut Christian McCaffrey down until a bye week, go for it if you're the 49ers. Again, you want to peak at the right time. And these seasons are long. These seasons are marathons, 20-game marathons for the 49ers in each of the past 3 years. If you can have Christian McCaffrey coming healthy and fresh in December, January, and February, that could actually be a big boost for San Francisco. And I think the only people complaining are people who are gambling and people who have fantasy teams. And I get it. There's an overlap between those two. Well, the only person who cares about your fantasy team is you. Nobody else cares except for you about your fantasy team. And I'm not here to cover fantasy football. I'm here to cover real football. In real football, the 49ers can handle this like an NBA team does some of its stars with the whole load management thing. You don't see it that often in the NFL because every single game for most teams is so close to 50-50. And obviously, because there are fewer games, every single game is so important. So teams have to play their star players through some injuries over the course of a season just to make the playoffs, to maximize their chances in that regard. The case of the 49ers, they don't need to play Christian McCaffrey here to make the playoffs. But I do think they'll need Christian McCaffrey to blow through the playoffs and win the Super Bowl. So that's the latest on McCaffrey. He will go to injured reserve. We just got the news right now. We're going to finish up the 49ers Vikings preview here over the next 2 minutes. So the Vikings, they're starting Sam Darnold in this football game. And this is the prediction, by the way, too, for 49ers Vikings. Starting Sam Darnold, no J.J. McCarthy. Darnold was with the 49ers last year. Darnold played really, really well last week against the New York Giants. In fact, it was Darnold number 1, and then it was Brock Purdy number 2 in terms of the efficiency ratings coming out of week 1. Last year, the 49ers got carved up by Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, which is a really tough place to play. Darnold is dangerous, and Darnold improved a lot in his year working behind the scenes with the 49ers. So San Francisco's got to be ready. The good news is they have changed defensive leadership. Steve Wilks is no longer the 49ers coordinator. I think that they looked way more tied between rush and coverage last week. And I think that's going to continue moving forward. So Kevin O'Connell and his Minnesota Vikings staff, Wes Phillips, the offensive coordinator, they're going to have, I think, a tougher challenge to deal with against an improving 49ers team. San Francisco is very strong on the interior, as we saw last week, at least the front line with Malik Collins and Javon Hargrave. The weak point of Minnesota's offensive line is Ed Ingram, the right guard, who gave up 6 pressures last week, was one of the worst pass protecting guards in football last year. I expect the 49ers to try to capitalize on that with big Christian Darrisaw, solid player at left tackle. We'll see him against Nick Bosa and Leonard Floyd. Justin Jefferson is obviously the best receiver in football. I think the 49ers run a mix of coverages, some man, maybe see Charvarius Ward follow him around like he did with DK Metcalf very successfully last year in Seattle, but the 49ers probably mix in some zone as well. But at the end of the day, Minnesota is it was a mediocre defense last year. It was a mediocre offense last year. 49ers lost because of a couple fluke plays. Talking about the Jordan Addison touchdown cover 0. Well, Steve Wilks is no longer with San Francisco. And then Brock Purdy suffered a concussion. And he was playing great before that. And then the helmet-to-helmet hit where we think the concussion happened took place on the quarterback sneak. And after that, he threw 2 interceptions. So the 49ers are dealing with a short week. And they just flew a long flight to Minneapolis. I'm about to take that flight here in a little bit. But despite all of that, this is an elite team, the best roster in the league, even without Christian McCaffrey. And they're playing a team that has been middle of the pack, that may be a little bit better if Sam Darnold continues playing out of his mind. And he was really good in week 1. But I still think that the 49ers won't see anything stop them from scoring 30 points in this game. And I also think that the Vikings are probably going to struggle to get to 20. We'll say they'll get to 21. So 49ers 31, Vikings 21. That's the prediction. I am now going to sign off, and we'll do a proper Christian McCaffrey update live. So you can go ahead and tune into that. That will be launching in about 2 or 3 minutes. We'll talk to you guys soon.